Okay, so I think we have pretty much everyone. So welcome to this webinar. Today we're going to be showing you how to use the Connect 12 in Android with the Access feature. My name is Nathalie Réaume. I'm the low version product manager at Humanware. I will be co-hosting this webinar with Eric Beauchamp. He is the director of product management at Humanware. Eric is going to start with some features on Android, and I will end this webinar with features on Prodigy that we have access through Android. So, Eric, if you want to start the meeting.
Yes, I will. I am just starting our live broadcast on Facebook right now. So in a couple of seconds or a couple of minutes, we'll see us live on Facebook. Also, and welcome. I don't know how many we did right now of webinars every Wednesdays, but I kind of like these webinars now. It's kind of like our routine. And I'm very pleased that you have selected our webinar to attend to because we have a lot of competition uh, out there with the situation that we're living in. But again, very proud that you've chosen our webinar to assist to. And today we'll have a topic that has been subject of discussions. Subject of discussions a lot offline is the accessibility in Android. When I talk about accessibility in Android, it's the TalkBack feature. TalkBack is like voiceover for those who use iOS, like an iPad or an iPhone. So I'll be talking or doing a bit of an overview of those accessibility features. There's also a possibility on, well, it's going to be on the Connect 12, but you have also the same kind of features on the Reveal 16i, which is also another product from Humanware that we offer. But basically, it's the same features that are available on both platforms. The only difference would be that the Reveal 16i has the features of Android 7 and the Connect 12 has the features of Android 6. But basically they're all approximately the same. So I'll show you how to start them, how to use them a bit. I don't personally use it 100% of the time, but when I have to demonstrate it, that's when I use it. But these accessibilities are there to help the visually impaired in navigating throughout Android. So I see there's a question here in the chat. Okay, so we're bringing this to you across London via Hangouts. So good. So I'm guessing we're broadcasted through Hangouts. That's very cool. Thank you. And I see also in the attendees that we have a couple of people that are joining every week. So that's heartwarming. Thank you very much for attending. If you have any questions, the best way to do this is through the chat. The raised hands, I'll try to monitor them, but sometimes it's hard to monitor the raised hands, and sometimes it's hard to get the unmuted things going. So the preferred word would be to use the chat or the Q&A type, and I will read out the questions as we go along. So let's start. So my second slide is really the learning objectives of this webinar. So learn how to use the accessibility options in Android, learn how to use the accessibility features in Prodigy, and learn how to use the new audio navigation in Prodigy. So basically what this means is that we're going to start off with TalkBack, how to navigate through Android menus and screens, and then we'll jump into Prodigy and see how TalkBack reacts into Prodigy and where we can use them, where we cannot, and then we're going to jump into the new feature that we released a couple weeks ago, which is the navigation inside Prodigy, and why we did that kind of feature, and why we needed that kind of feature in Prodigy. So I will stop sharing this screen, and I'm going to jump right away to my Connect 12. So good stuff. So I'm in my Connect 12 right now. Most people know the Connect 12 with the Prodigy software that's installed on it. To go into the Android, do a 4-finger or 5-finger press and hold on the screen, and you will be brought to the Android part of things. So here I'm going to go through here where to get the settings. There's a couple ways of getting the settings in Android there, but on the screen on the bottom right corner, you have that little gear icon that's there. But the simplest way, if you don't have it there, it would be to tap on the little circle with 6 little black dots at the bottom center of the screen. And that's going to bring you to a window where you're going to have all the applications that are installed on the tablet. And in here, there is a little gear icon, which is called Settings. You can tap on that. And then if you scroll down, usually you're going to be shown this view right here where you're going to start with a couple of sections in the settings menu. One of them is the wireless and networks. The other one is device. The other one is personal. And then the other one is the last section is system. And in system, there's one option there that we're going to go into, which is called accessibility. So if I tap on that, it will open up another menu. And the first service that we see on the top is TalkBack. And right now I have already activated my TalkBack. But to activate that, you just tap on TalkBack, which is the first option in the menu. And right now it's set to on, but if you want to turn it on, you just tap on the right-hand side. There's a little checkbox or a toggle switch that you can see or here. Right now, if I tap on it, it's going to ask me if I want to stop TalkBack. I'm just going to cancel that because I'm going to keep my settings here. And one thing that is very useful to set up is your shortcut to be able to pause your TalkBack or to resume your TalkBack. And how to do that, there is on the top of the screen on the right hand side, there's a word written there and it's settings. So if you tap on that, it's going to bring you to another menu, and it's going to be the settings of TalkBack. So here you have a couple of things that you can adjust. The speech volume, text-to-speech settings. The speech volume really is to know what kind of speech you want it loud or not too loud. So you can adjust that. Then the second one is the text-to-speech setting. If you tap on that, really you can choose the speech rate. And you're going to have very slow, normal, whatever it's really. You can go through these if you want, um, and then adjust your speech rate. And then you can listen to an example of your synthesis, and also you can set the language of your talkback. So right now I have set it to English United States. And I can also either download or select or set my language for my voice that I'm using. So if I tap on that little gear, I went a bit too fast here, but beside Google Text-to-Speech Engine on the right-hand side, there's a little green gear that is right there, so you can tap on that. And that's going to be brought to another menu where you can set or adjust your that setting. So you can adjust the language, the settings of the text-to-speech engine. So you got all kinds of options there, which I'm going to let you play around with because I'm not going to go through all this. But there's also an install voice that you can download. So if you select, for example, the United States one, you have different options of this. So I'm not sure if I can maybe share the sound of my screen here. Let me just check.
It's a good idea to share your sound. It's a question we had from one viewer.
Yeah. No, I don't know if let's see if I can hear him. I do hear myself talking. Can you hear well, or Nally, can you?
No, I don't hear the tablet. I can only hear you.
Okay, well, I'm going to try to increase the volume because right now I can't. I'm hearing myself in stereo, so I'm just. Can you still see my screen?
No, I only, oops, I only see you. Um, so we have a question. Somebody's asking that what will the sound do? So yes, the sound will be reading the text on the tablet and the options. We're trying to set it up. Oh, we can hear some things, Eric.
Oh yeah. Anyways, we'll try it out, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, so let's go back to where we were. Basically, I'm going to go back to my accessibility. You can see my screen, right? Yeah. Okay, great.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to TalkBack, and the top right corner, you have settings, and this is where we were here. And if I go into text-to-speech settings, that little gearbox on the right, and then I have install voice data. And if I choose English, there's all kinds of English that are available in the United States. There's different voices that you can hear, and you can play them. There's a little play button on the right-hand side of each. So you can hear each voice that you like to, and you can select actually the voice that you prefer. Okay. So I selected one. I can go back here by pressing that little arrow at the bottom of the screen, and we went through this little text-to-speech settings. Verbosity, what you want as to be spoken. So you can select several elements here that and the way that it's going to pronounce it. This is where you would set up your how it will talk. Vibration feedback, sound feedback. So you got all this kind of feedback section that you can activate. Navigation, a single tap and navigation, or you can activate that instead of a double tap um, activation. Show contents menu as a list, gestures. So you got all of this, but the one that I wanted to show you is the talkback, which is in the miscellaneous section. Is the talkback suspend and resume shortcut. This is where you're going to activate that. So right now, if I just tap on it, it's going to disable it. But if I tap on it, it will enable it. And you know that by on the right, there's a little switch, toggle switch that is going to turn blue. Or if you have TalkBack already activated, it's going to tell you that it's enabled. But this is where you would turn on your shortcut to pause or resume your talkback. And really the shortcut will be the power button with either the volume up or the volume down. It all depends in the situation, and we'll try it out here. Mine right now is on pause, so that's why I'm not using talkback right away, and I can select all the options without using talkback, but I can really activate it with a shortcut. So I'm going to press my volume down and my power button for a couple of seconds. And my Prodigy has stopped, but I just resumed my talkback, and I can swipe on the screen left to right or right to left, and it's going to change options right now. So you have the green locator that's on the screen that will tell you on which menu or which item of the menu that you're on, and it's going to voice it. And again, to pause your talkback, you do that shortcut power and volume up or volume down. It's either one, and it's gonna tell you that talkback is suspended.
Eric, I just want to make a comment. A few people are saying that they cannot hear the tablet. So it's right. We didn't put the sound high enough to hear what the tablet was doing, but we're explaining how to navigate to have talk back.
But you can still hear me talking, right?
Yeah, very
Yeah,
good.
okay.
We have a question. Somebody's asking if the talkback also works with the option to speak and have the computer application write out what you say. She's thinking of a student that she has that needs to write some sentences.
Yes, well, talkback, I'm pretty sure if I never tried it with the Word document, but I think what it really does, it's going to voice everything that's on the screen. So I'm pretty sure that each type is gonna be voiced out.
Okay, it voiced out. The sentence though was to input like a command voice. So no, if we talk
Oh,
to
like
the application, it's not gonna write what we talk.
well, you can use the Google Assistant to do that. Just like your Google Home or something like that, you can activate Google Assistant on the tablet and use that to do that. And you'll have all the same functions that a Google Home will have on your tablet or on your Reveal 16i in this case. So.
Thank you.
Okay, so that was TalkBack. And then if we come back to my accessibility menu, my first menu that I showed up on the screen here, I can I can activate the select to speak. So this will, when you highlight something, it will speak out what's on the screen a bit. So if I have something written out, I can touch and it's going to voice out that what's written there. Switch access. So switch access lets people with motor impairments to control the tablet using a specialized switch. So you need the hardware to work with this. So usually for visually impaired, um, it really, if you're visually impaired, you won't use this. It really, it's for motor impairment. Captions, it's going to be if you're listening to a video or you have an image that will be displayed and it has the option to have a caption, it will be shown on the screen, so that can be activated. One of the most important options in the accessibility is the magnification gesture, which is the next option. So if you tap on that and you activate it, what it's going to do is that if I do a triple tap on the screen, really fast, it's going to magnify everything that's on the screen. So that this is a very useful accessibility feature. And if I want to, I can use a pinch and zoom more into my screen to have that big the big visual effects, so that I can navigate through my menus. If I want to come out of that, another triple tap, or if I want to pan inside the image, because right now I can't read my full sentence, I take two fingers, I put it on the screen, and I can just pan. So I just move my two fingers at the same time on the screen, and I can move my screen and read out or read the whole sentence. I can move around that magnified view. To get out of that magnified view, just triple tap, and it's going to come out of that magnified view. So this is a very important feature. If you don't want to have everything voiced out and using TalkBack, this is a very important feature so that you can really use that triple tap anywhere in Android and get get that big image. Large text, there's only one settings for that. I think in Android 7 there's a couple more settings than only one, but in Android 6 there was only one. So if I disable this option, you'll see the text will be smaller. If I enable that and that settings, and the text will be large, not as large as I would like to, but at least it's a bit larger. High contrast text, the black is going to be more black, and there's going to be a bit of like a hollow around each letter, so that it really gets that contrast from the background of the screen. Auto rotate the screen, I usually leave it on. Speak out password, I usually leave it off so that you don't get that security issue. Accessibility shortcut, leave that at off. I already showed you how to access or how to activate your accessibility shortcut. For some reason in Android 6, this does not work. So the way to set your shortcut is the way that I just showed you a bit at the beginning of this webinar. The touch and hold, the delay, that's going to be the delay that if you do a press and hold on the screen, how much time you're going to wait for for that action to be done. So you have short, medium, or long. You can select that. Color inversion, that could be really useful if you like something that is all inverse in colors. So you would have the white on black background. You would have that big contrast of colors and would be easier to read. Color correction, I'm just going to put it back here. And color correction is for those that have difficulty distinguishing between, let's say, the red and the greens. And also if you tap on that, there is the red and the green and the blue and the yellow. So what that's going to do is that it's going to change, let's say, the icons in Android that is green, and it's going to change it to another color so that that person can identify which icon is at what color. Okay. So,
We
yeah.
we have a few questions before you keep on going. So
Okay.
somebody was asking, which key did you use to get the text big or the contrast?
The text big, again, in my accessibility menu, if I scroll up, there's an option called large text. If I unselect that, that would be my normal size of text. So you can see that it's really small, but if I tap on large text, it's going to increase the size of that text, not as I wish, but it's going to increase that size of text all around the Android application. But the magnification gestures is there to increase more that image. So by triple tapping on the screen, so you do tap, tap, tap on the screen, and then using your two fingers to pan, I can see a bit more of my of what's on my screen, and I can use my pinch and zoom to zoom out or zoom in a bit bigger in that magnified view. And what was the other one, Natalie?
The big and the contrast.
Oh, the contrast, the thing that I just did there, the color inversion, which is another option, which is the second to last option in the accessibility menu. You tap on that, and it's going to invert all the colors. So you have the white, it's written in white, and you have the black background. And it's going to also change the colors in Prodigy also. If I go to Prodigy, for example, you see my background here was all white. Now it's all white, but it was all black previously. And you can see that my little icon of my buddy app has changed inverted colors also. My gearbox has changed inverted colors. And if I start Prodigy, you'll see that Prodigy has inverted all the colors also.
Okay, and on the contrast, somebody asked, can the contrast of the border of what is being selected be changed?
Well, when you, if I go back to my accessibility here, when you select high contrast text, like I said, it's gonna make it kind of like a bold, and it's gonna do the surround. As soon as I'm gonna tap on something, that what's written is gonna be a bit. You're gonna see it change a bit. I don't know if you noticed the difference, but that's the only thing that it will do. It's gonna put kind of like a border or highlight that. And no, you cannot have the whole thing highlighted, unfortunately. But if you do activate your talkback, and then I go through my menu here, it's gonna go through my menu and it will highlight using that rectangle, that green rectangle.
Okay, we have two more questions. Somebody's asking if we can find the access, how can we find the accessibility in HP computer and iPhone? We're
Oh,
not going to
that's
cover.
I'm not too sure about the HP computer, but if it's running Windows, What is your daughter using, Natalie? It's is it JAWS or?
Yeah, my daughter uses JAWS, so it's not the accessibility of the computer that she uses, but it's a program. So I don't know. She doesn't use accessibility because she doesn't see enough.
Okay,
So in Windows, I wouldn't know what to use. In iPhone, I know a few YouTubers that are blind that are explaining it. Molly Burke has a video on iPhone accessibility, and the Blind Life. Sam the Blind Life also has videos on iPhone accessibility. The reason why we choose Android today is that our tablet and Prodigy works on Android.
exactly. So we're going to really concentrate on the Android environment for now, just because all of our products uses Android. So the Braille Note Touch uses Android, the Connect 12, the Mad Connect uses the Android system, and also the Reveal 16i also uses the Android system. And somebody just pointed out you can use also NVDA, which I think is a free software
Yeah,
that can be installed. So that's a good one too. Yeah.
yeah. Another question, are there plans to update Android to later versions? The version on the Prodigy and the Reveal 16 are 3 or 4 versions back.
We're looking into the Reveal 16i. You have to understand that when we go out with a device, the Android system or any operating system will be very tied to the hardware that's inside the computer or inside the tablet or inside the phone. And if those manufacturers of that hardware, the CPU or the processor that's inside, do not upgrade their firmware, you cannot upgrade to the next version up of the Android, because you have to have that low level programming like the drivers and all that set up so that it would work with a more recent Android. And right now for the Connect 12, it's impossible just because the Rock chip processor that we're using does not support anything higher than 6. There was talks of having the Rock chip or talks that Rock chip would import everything to be able to use Android 7, but that really stopped at a beta version, and there's a lot of work to be done on that. So I'm going to say no for the Connect 12. The Reveal 16 we're looking into seeing if we can upgrade to Android 8, but then again, we're not sure about that, and I'm going to explain to you why. Um, when we design our products to be accessible, we try to design our products to be accessible for all. And there's a lot of software that goes into it. There's a lot of programming that goes into Prodigy, the drivers, and all the hardware that goes into it. And it takes our cycle of development is about a year and a half to 2 years, depending on the size of the project. And that is too long for Android to follow the Android versions. Google wants us to follow what they're putting out, and they're putting out versions every year. So if we're stuck with one hardware that cannot support those versions that are coming out, we're stuck with it. And that decision was taken about a year or a year and a half before we started work. So you can understand that the cycle of development is very different from what the mainstream companies are offering. So that's my explanation. That's why we're late, and we're trying, at least with the Braille Note Touch, to keep ahead of the curve. But as you can see, also the new Braille Note Touch also is behind by 1 or 2 versions of Android, but is still accessible. We're still able to maybe have another version out or of Android. And also what prevents us sometimes to upgrade to the next Android version is all the certifications that Google obliges us to follow. And those certifications are given at certain points in their roadmap. So when you're out of those dates and you cannot apply for certifications, that's it. You're done for that version. So right now for Android 6, 7, and 8, 8 is the one that I think we have one or I think another year or so to be able to certify any products. But besides that, it's going to be 9 and up. So that's a bit of a history, a bit of the our day-to-day life in R&D and in product development at Humanware and any companies that are doing accessibility products out there.
Okay. When I talked about JAWS, Oscar, one of the viewer, wrote that for low vision, you can also use Zoom text on computers. So it works with Microsoft. And you also have a software named Fusion, which is a mix between JAWS and Zoom text. We have a few questions. I think it is called easy of access in Windows platform on computers. So that could be another suggestion. If you want, okay, let me see, because some people are exchanging. So we have
Let's try to keep the questions on the Connect 12 and the
yeah.
reveal. Let's try to keep on track with the subject here. I don't mind talking about other platforms to be able to use accessibility. I'm all for that. But I know out there that people are using the Connect 12 and the Reveal 16 and would really like to know how all that works.
Does VoiceBack work when you have a Braille display connected? I have an APH refreshable Braille device. Okay, that's a question on the Braille device.
There is a possibility of using the MAD connector to Connect 12 or even the Reveal 16i to connect your Braille display to it. You need to have BrailleBack. You have to download BrailleBack application, which can be found in the Google Store room or Google Store. So you can download that, install that on the tablet, and then your Braille display will connect to Bluetooth, and then it will be translated using BrailleBack. So if the device is supported by that application, you should have should have no problems connecting any Braille display to the Connect 12 or the Reveal 16i.
Okay, I'm reading two more questions. Did the Prodigy work with Microsoft system in school? The school wants to use the Prodigy device with the Microsoft system.
Unfortunately not. The Prodigy was designed in Android. A bit of a history of Prodigy. Prodigy software started off with our Prodigy Duo desktop also a couple years back. I think it was in 2012, if I'm not mistaken. That was our first experiment with Android, and we decided to go at that time with Android system because it was a free software, and everybody was getting access to that, and they were getting better and better, and there was a lot in schools. So we went with Android for those two products. Those two products were a closed environment, so we had our own Android system. You weren't able to go into the Play Store and download some more apps. But then when the Connect 12 came out, using the first version of the Connect 12 using the Samsung tablet at that time, that's when we came in with the mainstream Android version with the possibility of downloading more applications from the Google Store and having that certification. So that's why we kept on designing and moving forward with our products in Android, and also the Braille Note Touch went into the Android version. So Prodigy, unfortunately, it's not supported in Windows, but who says that it will not be supported in a later date in the roadmap? So that's still in discussion, and we'll see if that's going to be supported in the future.
Okay, thank you. Our next question, when you're on the home screen or working in any of the apps, can I use the touch screen to increase magnification, or do I have to go to preferences to set that up?
Well, once you have in Android, once you have that magnification here, I'll highlight that with my talkback. See right now I have my green rectangle on magnification gestures. When that's on, you can do a triple tap anywhere in Android. So I'm just going to turn off here my accessibility. So let me talk about suspended. So if I go back to my home page and let's go, I'll go into my Play Store, for example, and then I use a triple tap gesture. I can zoom in inside my screen and have that zoomed view.
Okay, we have more questions, but we have 3 raised hands. Maybe we can go on them. I think, Eric, you're the
Yes.
main
Okay.
host, so.
So Viewless Network Studio London, you had a question. So I'm going to allow you to talk. You can unmute yourself, unmute the mic and ask your question.
Yes, thank you, first of all, for allowing us to bring this event. Now, one of our listeners, his name is Andrew, he's listening here in North London. He's asking us about Android. Because he's an iPhone user, he recently switched to Android. Is it possible to use a dictation feature with the TalkBack screen reader?
Not with TalkBack, but I'm pretty sure if you go in the Play Store, you can download a third-party application that will do that. He can maybe send me an email, and I can maybe refer him to someone, which is, well, just going to be our product manager for Braille devices and more blindness, and he knows a lot about these kinds of applications. So if he can send me an email, that would be great. And my name is. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
That's
And
okay.
also, I've got another question. I am having a lot of, because we're broadcasting across Hangouts as well. We've also got a question. You did mention about Android earlier on regarding like the certification. Do you have any idea when, say, for example, the Braille note will, because I'm trying to go back forward to the chat here. Do you know when Android 9 will be rolled out to the Braille note?
Well, the Braille Note has a brand new version right now. We came out, I think, a year ago with a brand new Braille Note Touch, and you can boost up the old Braille Note Touch. But right now we're working on the new version, and I'm not sure about the date right now, so I won't give out any dates. But there is works on improving the Android. Yes.
Well, thanks for your time, and thank you for letting us ask the question.
Well, thank you for attending, and thank you for those questions.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, so Rhonda, I'm going to allow you to talk. You can unmute yourself and ask the question. So Rhonda Mense. You can unmute yourself. Let's see here if I do this here. Would it unmute? Okay, Rhonda, I'm going to come back to you. We can't hear you. I'll try to come back to you. The next one is Oscar. Hello, Oscar. You can unmute yourself.
Hello.
How are you, Oscar?
I'm okay. So, have you heard of the human work beta list? Because I was interested in that, you know, so a beta tester, so you can like get like brand new updates to any human web products before anyone else.
Absolutely. We do have beta lists, so do send me an email, and we'll see. And tell me which product you would like to be on the beta list for.
Any product. I already sent an email to humanwelllive@humanwell.com. They've gotten back to me, but I'm asking because this may be a bit weird, but I'm like 11 years old, by the way. So is there like any like age verification on the beta list, or is it like any age you can be? Is it like compulsory for everyone?
That's a good question. I would say for everyone that is using the Braille Note Touch or the Connect or any products of Humanware, we need to know as a teacher, as a parent, as a student, how are you using it?
Because I'm a student at one of my schools. I think Andrew came once, Martin Robert came as well. So they've been people from the blindness department who came actually. So yeah,
Okay.
I am a student.
Okay, good. So if you sent already an email, most probably Andrew saw it. So I'll review with Andrew to put you on the beta list.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, if not, Andrew, check with martin.roberts@humanware.com because he
Yes, I know
came.
Martin. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Martin came as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Oscar.
Okay.
Do you want to try to have run down the line again? And then after we have 2 more questions.
All right. Try it again, Rhonda. I can't unmute yourself. I can't unmute you.
Both
Somehow it's not
parties have
permitting.
to unmute themselves. We unmute Rhonda, and Rhonda, you have to unmute yourself. Oh, there you go. We can hear
Hi.
you, Rhonda.
Hello, Rhonda.
Thank you. I had stepped away. Someone answered the question before, so mine was redundant. It was the question about how did you locate the accessibility in Windows, but someone answered the question and said use
Okay.
ease of access. So that was my only comment.
Perfect. Okay.
Thank
you
you
very
for a
much.
great webinar.
Thank you. Thank you for attending.
Okay, we have a question on Google account, so we're going to skip this one because we're going to run out of time. The next question, I'm using an older Connect 12 Galaxy Note, and the distance camera app does not seem to update with the new updates, which makes it very hard to use. Will I be able to use it with TalkBack?
Okay. I'm just going to switch my colors here. Now the version with the Galaxy, the Samsung Galaxy Note, I think it was, or Galaxy Pro of the Connect 12, used a Sony distance camera. Now I don't know if you're still using that Sony distance camera. If you are, then the Sony distance camera used a third-party application which was designed by Sony. So if you have TalkBack activated, yes, you will be able to use TalkBack and go through the menus in that application. But if you have a Kodak distance camera, which is the new distance application, or the distance camera, that's going to be using the distance application that is available on Prodigy. So it's not going to be using a third-party application. So I see that you are still using the Sony camera. So very important, do not update that third-party application. If you did, you won't have that full screen. You won't have, there's a couple of things that they took out from that Sony took out from the application, and it makes it harder to use, but TalkBack will still work in that application. So if you do have the Sony camera and you're using that one on your Samsung tablet, don't update the application, the third-party application. I'm not talking here about Prodigy. I'm talking here about the third-party application for the distance camera. I can't remember the name of that distance application. It's not Pix Pro, it's something else that we were using on that version.
Okay, while you're thinking, we're having question on this webinar. Is it going to be archived? Yes, it's going to be archived during the week on our YouTube channel. It's also going to be available on our website. If you go on the first page of the English website, we have a banner that says Webinar Live. And if you click on it, you're going to have access to all our recorded webinars. We make and record a webinar on low vision every Wednesday, and we make and record the webinars on blindness every Tuesday and Thursdays. Somebody's asking if we are going to have it archived on the Victor Reader podcast. We didn't do it so far.
Well, it's in discussion right now. It's some kind of format issue, but I'm not. I'm not as current in that right now in that subject, but I know there was talks of putting it on the podcast and having a podcast, a humanware podcast on Victor Reader, and having these webinars on there. So I will talk with Andrew Flatres, which is our product manager for actually the stream now, because Robert Panetta unfortunately left Humanware, but now Andrew Flatres took over on this product, and I'll speak with him on seeing what can be done.
Okay. So Eric, I think we passed through all the questions so
But
far.
I do see one here. How do I remove a Google account details for a previous user as we do not have the password? That's an interesting question, and I think it could address questions that people have right now online. And in that direction is that if you have a Google account that's associated with your Connect 12 and you're changing students or you're passing it along to somebody else, I don't know if there's an issue with the password going into Android, but I'm just going to show you here. If you go into settings in Android, and then you scroll down this menu and you have accounts, and you'll see here all your accounts. So when you're resetting a tablet from scratch, we're going to the factory. You're going to reset your tablet from scratch. You're going to go back to factory defaults. What you want to do first is to go here into your accounts, select the Google one, and then on the top right corner, there's like 3 little dots. Tap on those 3 little dots, and you have remove account. So that's going to remove the whole account, and then you can reset to factory defaults. Because what's going to happen if you don't do that is that you're going to be locked out from the tablet. When you do the reset to factory reset in the tutorial at the beginning, you'll be locked out because it's going to say, please log in to the account that's associated to this tablet. And if you don't have that password, unfortunately, you're gonna have to send back the tablet to Humanware, and there is a manual thing. So we have to open the tablet and go short or connect 2 pins on the processor to bypass all that. And the reason why this is done is that it's to enforce security. So let's say the tablet was stolen and it would be reset, then that person that stole it would not be able to use a tablet again. So that's the reason why. So I'm not sure if that answered the question. If not, please email me at eric.beauchamp@humanware.com and I'll try to help you out. All right. All right. So we can move on, Nali.
Yes, we can move on. So I'm going to be showing you in the few minutes we have left my tablet that's on hold right now. I'm going to be showing you how to do audio navigation in Prodigy. So let me.
Yep. So let me just let's do the transition between
Yeah.
Prodigy and TalkBack. So if I go into Prodigy, okay, I can activate my TalkBack. Okay. I can activate my TalkBack and actually use TalkBack inside Prodigy. Okay. You'll be able to use it everywhere. And if you, let's say you want to go into magnifier, you double tap on that. Once it's highlighted, then you go into magnifier, and then you swipe on the screen, and you go through all the items that are on the screen. And you can go through all the buttons, and if you want to select a button, you can select that button by double tapping. So, so you can go through all that. You can use Prodigy with TalkBack, but hold on here, I'm going to go back. The only thing that's not going to work in Prodigy with TalkBack is, let's say I have a document that I want to modify. For example, I go in my gallery and I want to modify this document here. I'm going to go inside, and then I'm going to want to edit that document. It's going to say, well, that tool doesn't work with TalkBack. So you have to pause TalkBack in order to use the annotation tool. Okay, so for 2 reasons, what we did in the last version that we came out with is that we included a navigation in Prodigy. The one reason is that you can have the same voice talking to you inside Prodigy. So the voice that you decided to have in Prodigy, let's say I have Heather already installed in Prodigy, I will have that voice that's going to be used all the time. And also I can use my annotation tool without any problems now. Okay, so I'm going to let Natalie explain the navigation tool.
Very good.
So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and it's all
Okay.
yours, Natalie.
Okay, very good. So my tablet is on hold. There we go. Do you see my tablet or not yet?
Nope.
No.
Screens. You have to share the screen on your tablet.
Yeah. Okay, let me go back to Zoom.
Take off hold. Hold on here. There.
Connecting. This may take a few moments. Okay, so it's reconnecting. Because I put it on Zoom and I reconnected. So what I'm going to be showing you is new navigation options that we launched about 3 weeks ago. The tablet is usually used for people with low vision, but now people with very low vision or blindness can use our tablet to navigate and use all of the options. My tablet is still connecting to Zoom. Please wait.
Okay, so
I don't know if you
let me
can
do the
start.
part then.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry about that.
Okay, so let me go back. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to go back into Prodigy. So what you want to do in Prodigy, and you want to have voice over in Prodigy, what you want to do is you want to go into settings, go into audio, and then select speech on. Okay, so when speech is on, that means all my menus are going to be voiced out, and you have that red rectangular right now, red rectangle that's on the item that's going to be voiced. So it's a bit like TalkBack. So in the menus, this is how it's going to be shown. So you'll have all the items in the menu voiced out, and again using the header voice, the voice that is installed on my Prodigy. But the only thing that I cannot access, and for a very low vision user, the only thing that I cannot do is get that back button on the top left corner. So what you want to do is take 2 fingers, press and hold on the screen, and you'll get navigation on. Now, if you look at the screen, the red highlight is on my back button. So I can tap anywhere in the screen, and it's going to do that back. Again, I'm in that menu. Press and hold, tap anywhere, and I'm out into my carousel. So I can move around in my carousel. It's going to be voiced out because I selected speech on. And let's go into my gallery. Again, all the items in my gallery here will be voiced out normally, but the only things that I cannot reach is my 2 buttons if I don't have enough vision. So to reach those 2 buttons, press and hold on the screen, navigation will be on, and then you can swipe to the 2 buttons that you want to use, okay? And if I want to deactivate or disable my navigation, and I want to get that PO document that's on my screen right there, press and hold 2 fingers again on the screen anywhere, and it will disable my navigation. And then I can select my PO document, go inside that document that I want to read. And again, that button banner for very low vision users, sometimes they're hard to understand or hard to see. Press and hold 2 fingers on the screen, and you'll have that navigation possible to you. So you'll be looping through the buttons in the button banner and tapping anywhere in the screen to activate that button. So that's what we've done. Let me show you the annotation tool. If I go into my annotation tool that I wanted to do with TalkBack, which I couldn't, now I don't have that message because I'm using my voice navigation inside Prodigy. So I can move around in my menu. If I want to use the pen, I can start using the pen by turning off my navigation, press and hold 2 fingers on the screen, and then I can use my pinch and zoom. I can write on my document. I can then activate again my navigation, And then let's say I want to highlight. So I'm already on my button right now. I'm just going to tap anywhere. It's going to change to my highlight icon. And again, it's going to be voice. It's going to say highlight. So I know that that's what I want. And then I'm press and hold my two fingers to turn off the navigation, do whatever I'd like to do. And then let's say I want to go back, press and hold to activate again the navigation, and then move to my back button, tap anywhere on the screen, and go back to my gallery. So that's how you would use in Prodigy, or you can use the talkback as you wish. You can use the talkback anywhere in Prodigy, except when you go into your annotation tool, then you can maybe pause your talkback by using that shortcut, the power and the volume up or down, and then pausing that, and then using the voice navigation inside Prodigy to use your annotation.
Okay. Before you jump to another subject, we have a question. Somebody's asking is Prodigy an app to use on my Android phone or only on a tablet?
Well, Prodigy is our own humanware app, and it's not offered on the Play Store, so you cannot download the Prodigy app from the store. So you cannot install it on any other tablet than the Connect 12 tablet. So that's the main thing. So if it would have been on the store, yes, you could have installed it on a phone or another tablet. But because of licensing, we did not put it in the store, in the Google Store. So you cannot download it onto another application on another tablet than the Connect 12.
Very
Okay.
good. So we covered all the questions so far.
I think that's all the time that we have
Yes.
for today. I'm very happy and glad that you guys had a lot of questions. So I knew that this subject was something that is important to you guys, and I hope that this webinar clarified, help you out in any way to help your students and yourself, if you're using the devices, to get better at using accessibility in Android, in Prodigy, and in any other application. And again, thank you very much for attending this webinar. And it's my pleasure to share my passion, and I think Niley is the same. We share our passion here at Humanware on all accessibility technology, and we want to get the technology out there to as much people that can use it. And what's the best time to use technology now? Because we're stuck at home, and technology is going to get us out from home. So thank you again for attending. Stay home, stay safe, and I guess we're going to talk to you next week, the next webinar.
Wednesday. Thank you very much. Goodbye.